Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Maick Ofel, and welcome to one more episode of Talking Times. Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation about IT, English, neurodiversity, and maybe philosophy, and whatever other topics you guys send to us from the chat. I'm here with Diego Ramos, and you're about to meet him right after our podcast intro. Hello, Diego. Welcome, man.
Hello, Mike.
Diego, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Diego, you are a student from Times Amoreras, right?
Yes.
Shout out to you guys. So I have to say, congratulations. You have been awarded as the best student several times, right?
Right.
Okay, so before we start this chat, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yeah, sure. My name is Diego, and I have been working with software development for 12 years now, maybe a little more, depends on how we count. And I have been studying in Times Moreira since the beginning of this year, around March. And yeah,
So for roughly 10 months.
yes.
Okay.
And I'm now on book 4.
Ah, nice.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
today I had the first class on book 4.
Ah, nice. Is the letter lesson C, I guess? I don't remember. It's book 4 or 5.
I don't know. I think it's 3. It was about Ireland.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I like this one. Oh, interesting enough, a spoiler from next week, we're gonna have a chat about Ireland.
Oh,
And Diego, before you started studying at Times, have you studied English before?
yes. I was watching your podcast before that, and I identify with something that you said. You said that you had Frankenstein English.
Yeah.
And I think it's something similar with me. Like, I didn't study it in a school for, I don't know, when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I had some class in school, but, like, it was the basic thing.
Mm.
And also, I started using computer very, very early. And at that time, many things were in English, so I had to use the computer with a dictionary by my side. But since I was just reading, I learned to the wrong pronunciation.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I had to fix that later. And then when after I finished college, after I graduated and started working on a company that they have incentives for studying English. Then I started doing some classes and try to improve on that. But then I had to stop, and I spent many years without studying English.
You felt a little rusty when you had to speak again.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah.
It's the neuroplasticity that we were talking
Yes,
about. It's
of
exactly
course.
that, man.
Yes.
But the interesting thing you mentioned, the incentive, that would be my other question. What was your biggest motivation to start learning English?
Yes. Like from the beginning, or when
Yeah, from the beginning.
Yes, I think, as I said, I think one of the first things was on the first contacts I had with English was using computer. Like, my father bought a computer when I was around 8 years, I think.
8?
Yes.
Man, we're a kid.
Yes, and it was a long time ago.
It was like those computers with DOS and this type of things.
Yes, like a green
Yeah, I am
screen.
old.
Yeah, you can tell. But and yes, and it was like text. We had to know at least a little of English to interact with computer, like to know what to type, and there's little software in Portuguese. So yeah, I did like this. I asked someone, and for me sometimes it was like magic words. I didn't know what they meant, but I knew that if I typed that, the computer would do something. So I think it started like that, and I noticed that it will be really nice to learn English, to know more about that, and even to yeah, everything we need to study in different areas. Most of the things are English, And yeah, I think this becomes more clear when I went to high school and then on to college, and then it's like yeah, like mandatory.
Yeah, man, high school in a way, it's like a watershed, because
Yeah.
or you will hate English ever, like because in Brazil at least, the public system has this thing. We sometimes have not a real English teacher. You have like the PE teacher that speaks English, so he's the English teacher, or the social science teacher, somebody else, and they have this curriculum that is always verb to be. So lesson one, and you go there, I am, you are, blah, blah, blah. After 3, 4 months, the same topics. And then people say, oh, English is boring. But one thing that you did intuitively, that is my recommendation for you, God bless you, is the ghosts from the last episodes are still here, guys. But one thing you did, Diego, was you use English as a tool, not the ultimate thing. It's a tool to do something else that you have interest.
Yeah.
And these guys, if you are watching this, you can virtually use the same tool in every area you choose. For example, you like video games. Use English to play whatever game you like in English. You like books. So use English to read the books in English before everybody else, and then you can blackmail people with spoilers maybe, or whatever reason, oh, you want to go to another country and have a group of foreigners as in your social circle, whatever reason, or professional reasons too. But it's something that is effective. It kind of removes the pressure, when you use English as a tool. And after all this time, Diego, you were already working with technology. Would you say that English now is some essential part of this job? If you work with technology, you need to be like have some level at least.
Yeah, at least some level. Yeah, because it's like you said, the same thing that happens with, and maybe not with movies now. They can launch everywhere with subtitles or dubbing, but with technology, it's very clear that it starts in. Even if it's something that's developed in Brazil, probably it's going to be in English first, and then people are going to start using it, and then creating documentation or books or podcasts or whatever in Portuguese. So if we at least we have this advantage, this edge that if we know English, we can do it first, and maybe there are things that are not even published or doesn't. Yeah, you can't access that content in Portuguese. So
yes, makes total sense. I remember we were talking about Robert Sapolsky. I have done a course that he teaches from online. It's from Stanford. Man, it completely changed my life because it's about behavioral biology. And the only way to access that is in English. You don't have Portuguese subtitles. Some books too that I could find, they are not translated to Portuguese. So I say this, but because I am an English teacher, people say, but you are biased. But it opens another universe in a way, And okay, when you started studying at Times Amoreiras, how was your trajectory there? What was the first impression you had?
Yeah, I think it always started before I decided to I started studying there because I'm trying not to go too far back, because if you start to think about things, they always have a reason that goes back.
Oh yeah.
But I think maybe it started in the pandemics that I have a friend that said, "Oh, now everyone's going to work from home, and people that know English can work for a company outside of Brazil, and in learning English, it's more important than learn the newest technology or something, because this is always changing. So this is going to be very important." And at that time, I said, "Oh, okay, I know a little English. Maybe I can try to apply to that job and try." And also, I started receiving offers, or at least people contact me to do interviews. And yes, I think I had English good enough to at least talk to that people, and I actually got a job and started working on that there. But I still felt like you said, like rusty, or that I feel nervous when I had to talk in English, or yeah, sometimes I was not communicating the way like clearly or clear as I wanted. So I started thinking, oh, I need to maybe I need to go back and study more English, but I don't know if I didn't know where to start, and I don't know, I'm going to have to go to school and start from. I was lazy. I knew that I wanted, but I didn't know what to do. And then people from Times contacted me, and they explained the method and how it worked. And now it's going to look like
You're doing like an ad.
Yeah, I'm doing an ad, but
I'm going to use this code.
Yeah, because I had heard about this inverse classroom and other things that are, I think they are new. There are things that not every school or every course uses. And I knew that on the place I worked before, they used that on some of the course that they have.
Yeah,
And
it's very common.
And it for teaching technology and these things, and it worked very well. And but I just knew that it existed, but I never experienced or had a class like that. And also the flexibility that I can have the class online or the school and whenever I want, and was already working from home, and so I get used to having this flexibility. And yes, and I think it was a match. I found something that I needed and wanted, and yeah, it worked out.
Man, you just described like 90-something% of the people, because I normally talk to especially on my LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So if you're watching this from LinkedIn, say hi. But some people say, I need English, but I don't know where to start or how to start. That's why it's so important to have like a level test. You do the leveling test, and you mentioned the inverted classroom, the flipped classroom. The whole idea is based on what we were talking before, the neuroplasticity, because you are having these micro interactions with the contact. When you go to the class and I ask you a question using that, it feels natural to you. I can see in lesson ones, when I teach a lesson one, it's very funny from my teacher's perspective that I can see on the face of the student that he's puzzled, like how the hell I can understand what he's saying. And the face of the student is something like this, like, it is like you say, oh, blah, 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 and the student, yes, blah, 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 and then the face like,
what did it just do?
Yeah, but it is because it's intuitive, it's intuitive. So when you started, you would say your level was like basic or intermediate?
I think intermediate. I think.
Nice. And as someone that is from the technology field, what level do you think you should have in order to start doing job interviews in English or maybe some calls?
Yes, I think we can start at any level, as we were talking about before, that when we do something like even what I'm doing now, I was afraid to be here, but I'll do it anyway. If it's not perfect, it's going to be better next time. And yeah, like it's supposed to. And I did the same for job interviews. I think I thought I had intermediate English because I could do the work and mostly write emails in English and reply and search things and read documentation in English, and sometimes we had meetings in English, and I can understand what's happening. Sometimes not very very good, but it was enough for the job. But I stayed there for a long time, and when I did the first interview in English, I think probably it was terrible. Like I knew a little of English, but I didn't know how to explain what I do or to talk about myself, or I don't know. in these interviews, sometimes they go talk about things that we do outside work or the things that just to see if we can hold a conversation, because even in work we are not always talking about the work, and it's important to talk about other things.
Not.
Yes, to have a good environment and to make a good relationship with the other people. It's nice to have a broader vocabulary. And I noticed that, okay, I like for technical things, it's okay, but I need to know more, or even like to speak in a way that makes sense. It's tell a story about myself, like or what I can. What's more important to speak first, and what I can. Like we don't have interviews very short time to talk about your entire life, so we have to choose what to say.
And one thing that happens in interviews, that's why I was talking to Vanessa here, why we don't do oral tests like this. Okay, Diego, let's start your oral test. The moment the teacher does that, the student is not the student anymore. It's the version of the student that knows is being evaluated. And you will feel nervous. So you have the adrenaline kicks in and all of that, and the cortisol. I love hormones. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to say something wrong. In job interviews, it's the same thing. You are always thinking and looking the face of the recruiter like, oh my God, if I say this, would it be nice or not? And sometimes you are doing that instantly in the same moment that the conversation is happening,
Yes, and if the fears, it gets to a level that makes you block or you can't think because you start feeling this fear.
It's like a loop.
That's the and then you know, I want to talk, but I can't remember. It's going. I think I didn't. It wasn't that bad, but yes, but I can relate to what you are saying.
Do you have a notion of how many interviews in English you have done? Around 10, 5, 20?
No, it was more than 10.
More than 10?
Yes.
In how much time? What was the time frame?
Like a month.
In a month?
Yeah. I was doing a lot,
So the 10th one was amazing comparing to the first one, I imagine.
Yeah, of course, yes.
Okay.
It was, because then it was not interview anymore. I was like, okay, I'm just going to talk about me and like the nice projects that they're working on, and I feel, I start feeling good about that. It was not the fear that I had in the beginning. It was not there anymore.
This is the exact thing that we were talking about, Daniel. I have to control myself because I love to talk about this topic, man. But it is how our brain changes. So if you're watching this, in 1 month, do as many job interviews in English that as much as you can. And the secret that I always recommend to people is do this for positions that you don't want. That's the key thing. Why? I'm gonna lose my time. No, your intention is just to be present there and practicing. Eventually, you will have the interview for the position you want, and then it will be like you said, Diego, like, the 10th one was just talking about myself, And is this for everything, neuroplasticity is awesome. Oh my God, there's a lot of things in the chat.
Yeah, you have neuro in the titles, not for coincidence. We can talk about that.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, Wenderson said, rice supremacy. Okay, apparently he's a fan of rice. Somebody said buchada de bode. Who the hell would say something like that? Come on, guys. Okay, software engineer here. Also, shout out to you, Fernando. Shout out to you, Claudio. Okay, only 10 months studying, Claudio said here, and speaking like that. Yes, man, if you communicate in your life the same way you are doing this in the podcast, man, your English is perfect,
Thank you.
And it's very motivating. I'm not saying this because, he's a teacher. But it's very nice to see because some people, I don't know if you have known some students like this, but I have had students that they say, man, if I speak English for me would be better than the feeling that I had when I graduated because I really have this block. So I would say, okay, start.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of committing mistakes. It's completely normal, Good evening, Karen. Okay. All right. Karen has a question here. How are IT companies receiving information that their employees are neurodivergent? Are they being friendly? Oh yes, we're gonna talk about that too. What's your perspective, Diego?
Um, I think what I'm doing now is like a coming out because I think I never talk directly about this in the place I worked, and I think it's getting better. Of course, like many other things, and like I mean, I think neurodiversity it's related to the diversity, and I think companies are understand that this is important, and. But yes, there are companies that also are more active on that, like try to bring people that have disabilities or yeah, or in Brazil it's technically a disability, but yeah, sometimes people don't want to use that label because it makes it look
Sounds like
bad.
blocking you or judging in a way, right?
Yeah. So, but yeah, and but even I think the funny thing is that some people say, "Oh, now everyone's autistic," and there's a lot of people talking about that, and or ADHD, you're just lazy, or yeah. There are a lot of people that say these things, and yeah, it's can talk about that. But I think sometimes we already had that. We also wanted to talk about. I forgot her name. I have it noted, but I forgot. We can try to I can try to remember that later. But yeah, oh my god,
It's like a scientist.
Yes, actually, she's an animal scientist. She studies animal behavior, and she's autistic. So, and she said that probably half of Silicon Valley have at least is the autistic spectrum, like has this mild autistic. So I think we have this superpower that we recognize each other, and
it's really
yeah, and I don't know. I think that happens, and maybe we are working together just because we feel that we think like the same, and we have the same. I don't know, the same abilities or the same. Yeah, and so I think many technical companies are welcoming for neurodiverse people just because we are right there and we know. At least when we're talking to technical people, we can know each other. But I think the hard part is like improving on the in other skills, like maybe yeah.
And this is one of the reasons I am so fascinated about the brain, and studying the brain. Some people do say that you've just mentioned, like, oh, now everybody is autistic, now everybody has Asperger or whatever spectrum you want. But what they fail to understand is that our diagnosis is getting better. So it's not that it's like, wow, now everybody's, because now you can identify something. It goes from, I don't know, people using Lionel Messi or like a scientist or whoever, And so and by knowing how the brain functions, you can avoid misconceptions too,
Yes.
It's something that is really interesting. The more we understand about our brain, and we can go to that point that we were talking before, to have a light life, because you remove all the judging and the guilt and the prizing and all of that. It makes sense that companies are being more open to that,
And I just remember her name is Temple Grandin.
Say that again.
Temple Grandin.
Temple Grant, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know this one. I'm gonna look. When you were saying, "Oh, she studies it," I said, "Okay, maybe it's that anthropologist that I just forgotten the name too."
Yeah.
Nice. Leticia is asking here, Diego, how important is immersion in English-speaking environment for language acquisition, and what can individuals do if they don't have that opportunity, to be in an environment where you can interact with English? How important do you consider that?
Yes, I think as we were talking before, I think we agree on a lot of things. Like I think uh, behavior is very, at least influenced.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say determined, but yeah.
You can say that, don't worry.
Yeah, I'm more on the determined side. But yeah,
me too.
because the problem is that if you say that, it can sound that it's mechanistic or that or too simplistic.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I avoid saying like this.
Yeah, it's better. In common sense, you are very wise by doing that.
Yeah, and so yeah, we are very influenced by our environment. And as I said, maybe I wouldn't be here if 30 years ago I had a green screen in front of my face, and I don't know, I went to play games or went to see how that worked, and I looked at the board and didn't know what to do. So this was my motivation at that time. But I didn't have other things like I didn't have cable TV to watch things in English or English books. I started reading English books later, but so yes, I think, and when I think when I start improving on English is when I had more of this in my environment, like watching things with subtitles, then trying to use at least the English subtitles instead of Portuguese, or listen more to English music in English and looking the lyrics to understand better. So yeah, I think the more information we have, the more we immerse ourselves, the better we are in. I think anything, like if you are doing a sport or going to the gym, you have to do this more and more. And,
yeah, exactly. It feels awesome too, huh? You remember the first time you really had a conversation in English with a non-Brazilian person, and it was like, damn, shout out to you, Ming. Ming, if you ever watch this, thank you for existing. The first time I talked to this Chinese guy in English, I was 19 years old doing the preparatory course, and I said, man, I'm talking to somebody from China. I'm cracking jokes here, and the guy is laughing. It was jokes about hot dog, but I'm not going to that now. And it was very nice. It was very cool. I felt very happy that I could do it. How was for you, Diego, the first time you had a conversation in English, and it was, I don't know, with a foreigner, maybe somebody.
I'm trying to remember. I remember almost that same age. I was like 17 or 18, and I was studying English in high school. But as I said, it was basic. It was. I think it was good. I won't blame the school or the teacher because it was a good school.
Yeah.
But I had a friend that was. I remember, like after the class finished, he started talking to the teacher in English and having a conversation about, I don't know, a random subject. And I was, oh my God, how can he do that? I struggled to say an entire sentence in English. And then, I don't know, I remember, I think, when was it? I remember I went to a tech event, it was a Google, I think it doesn't exist anymore. It was a Google Developer Day. It was a small event. Now they have this, I don't know, Google I/O that happens in, I don't even remember, it's Mountain View, I don't know. But I think, yes, or we have this smaller, but it's more community-driven, the community events here. But I don't know, I just remember that I had this event in São Paulo, and my English was not very good, but I said, I'm going to be there and see if I understand like 10%, it would be good.
Nice.
And I remember talking to two people, and one of them, I think I remember because he was not very patient, said, we have this Brazilian guy, you can talk to him, because he noticed that I was struggling to try to make a question in English. And said, okay, I tried and it didn't work. Then I think it was like after that we had another. Oh, I think it was on the same keynote, the same presentation. They had two speakers, and I talked to this guy, and he just gave up. I don't understand what you're saying. Talk to the Brazilian guy, and I tried to talk to the other one, and she was so nice, so kind.
Opened.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I think she didn't understand one part and asked again, and I could explain what I was. And I don't know. I don't know if I was really interested on the on the answer. Like at the time, it was very interesting, but the experience of going there, trying to speak English to that people, it was nice. And if they didn't understand, I would never see them again, probably.
Man,
So
intuitively, you were very intelligent because you were doing without knowing the structure behind the curtains. What we recommend to the students, have micro interactions in English. And one takeout from this story that you told me, it was not necessarily your English, was the other person, because if it was your English, no one would understand.
yeah,
But the one sign that you are advanced or fluent is even if the person uses an English that is not perfect, you are able to interpretate
Yeah.
and to answer coherently, you know.
yeah,
And the most interesting thing, you put yourself out there, you know. The
Yeah.
most difficult is this part, like start, you know.
yeah,
But
sure.
is the same thing we tell the students that are having any experience traveling abroad. I say, man, make small talk to anyone. Like say something nice, like, oh, nice hat. Oh, I like your shoes. Or, oh, are you having a good day? You know, make small talk that you will again neuroplasticity. Condition your brain to these micro interactions, you know.
Hmm.
A question from Marcel, Diego. Diego, in your opinion, what's the best way to improve English vocabulary? Or
Yeah.
what do you do to learn new
Yes.
words?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be repetitive because I think it's exposing to different things. And yeah, again, it's going to sound like an advertisement. But yeah, it's like I think it's interesting that the classes we have a lot of people that work in tech, but most of the classes are not about this, and we have different topics, and we are always learning new words that we have to use to communicate. But even if like okay, if we went to or what I actually did before doing the class, I can watch a movie about something, and so as I said, I think I noticed that my vocabulary was too technical, so I don't know. Try to watch a drama or romance movie that has nothing to do, or yeah, little to do with that, so we can learn words for speaking about feelings or speaking about food, or I don't know. So yes, I think it's trying to expose yourself to different things, and this is going to make you learn different things. And probably the first time we hear or you hear a different word, it sounds strange, maybe you don't understand, and it, sometimes I do that. I go back, I go, what did he said or she said,
Yeah.
and like I said, sometimes I try to watch without subtitles to make it hard, but sometimes I didn't understand that part. So, I go back, turn on the subtitles so I can understand what they said. And sometimes reading it in English it's enough, but sometimes I don't what this expression means. Like maybe I know the word, but don't know what that expression means in that context.
Yeah,
And then I
exactly.
change it to Portuguese and go, yeah. So
Man, you as you are describing, I had like a short movie going on in my head. When I was a student, I used to do exactly that. I had this. I feel old again. Every episode I feel old. I was using these DVDs from the series Lost, you know, and it was in 2007, 6, whatever. And I was watching an episode, and the guy said, "Oh, it's better to do this rather than that." And I said, "What the hell is rather than that?" And I didn't. It was the first time I heard the expression. Then I started to think, and then eventually I learned because of a TV show, you know. And going back to the Frankenstein English thing, I watched a lot of themed series about medieval things, fantasy, dragons, Viking stuff. So I sometimes use some words that are kind of unconventional because of that, you know, and the accents too. but it's a cultural experience too. And this that you are recommending is very useful. Like immerse yourself to different topics, automatically will get the vocab. Nice.
And I think I can. It made me remember a different question you asked before, and when we were talking about books and what's the advantage of reading English. Like I said, probably we are going to read first, then people that don't know English, but also we learn that vocabulary that in some areas is important. Like if we learn the translated version of some terms, sometimes it's hard even to like do a search in the internet to find that thing, because many people, even when they are talking in Portuguese, they use the term in English. So yeah,
It's another trend in a way too.
yeah.
Okay, and another one from Felipe here. Hello, Felipe. Hello, Lavinia. Hello, Leticia. Hello, Paulo. Hello, Fernando. Shout out to you guys. People are sending a lot of messages here, man. Okay, no, that's a nice one. How did you feel, Diego, when you found out that you were already speaking English? Because students don't get it. They imagine it's like, that's the moment. Bleep, now I speak English. It's like
Am
a
I speaking
continuum.
English?
No.
Oh, I didn't notice it. I forgot to switch it to
Yes, you are. How was the feeling for
Actually,
you?
someone asked me when was the time I don't know. I said probably when I was invited to the podcast. I said, being a podcast, probably I know I can speak English fluent enough to have a conversation. So I don't know.
With the most random host ever.
Because if that's a joke, but it's also interesting because maybe if I was invited to talk about my work and technology, maybe it would be easier. So knowing that, like I also advertise, I watch your podcast. It's very good.
Thank you.
And you talk about different topics, and yes, I said like it starts in one subject, and then there's a lot of things that people ask, or there's a lot of connections that we can make. So yeah, I
Yes.
think it makes it very interesting, but also hard to keep up and to have the vocabulary to talk about that.
And the fact that you can interact like this is the living proof that yes, you speak English. You know, you guys haven't seen before. We were talking about transhumanism. Yeah.
But I don't know when was. Oh, now I know. Like even like when I get this job, I thought to me, oh, I have English good enough to convince someone that I can work in a place that everyone speaks English all the time. So at least I can communicate what I'm doing, if I have any problem. I don't know. So I said, okay, maybe my English is not that bad.
Nice.
Yeah.
And talking about that, Jack, what exactly do you do at work? What's a normal day at work for you?
Yeah, so I work as a software developer, and I develop mobile apps. So now I'm working on a company that has one app that's actually very, very big in the sense that they have a lot of features and they have a lot of people work on that. And so I work on a small part of that. And so my normal day is like having I have a day, almost every day you have meetings to like people that work in tech know that sometimes when I say it, people are surprised that we have meetings every day, but they are usually short meeting, like 15 minutes, and just to talk about what we are doing and
the briefing thing.
Yes, it's like a briefing, yes. And from time to time we have like every 2 weeks we have a longer meeting to talk about what we're going to do and in the next sprint, as we call, like this 2 weeks chunks of time. So yeah, we decide to what we're going to do, how it's important, and how we're going to do that, and then I started developing. And yeah, most of not most, but a big part of that work is talking to people, like talking to designers, talking to manager, to people that are this, developing which feature are going to do, or talking to other, like, of course, the colleagues that are working the same code, or even people from other areas to understand how to integrate the part you are doing with the other ones, or even to know more.
God bless you.
God bless you. Like, what's the best way to do something? Sometimes you can discuss that.
And are those meetings in Portuguese and in English too?
It's the meetings are always in English because they're
Always in English?
Yes, because they're
And you were questioning, oh, I don't know if I speak English or not. I'm out of here now.
because we have people from different places, different countries.
Man,
So,
that's amazing.
yes, it's like a lingua franca. You have like people from, and sometimes I feel bad for not speaking Spanish because there's a lot of people from Argentina, Colombia, Venezuela. I don't know.
And you talk to them in English too?
Yeah, and I talk
Nice.
to English because I think if I try to speak in Portuguese, it will be
Oh, well,
very slow.
mine sucks too. It's
Yeah.
always like, Los nachos estão de delícia, and then that's no more.
They usually say that it's easier for us to understand Spanish than for them to understand Portuguese.
Oh, didn't
So
know that.
I just talk in Portuguese if I know that I have a one-on-one meeting with someone and I know they are also Brazilian or they speak
Ah, okay,
Portuguese.
no, makes sense.
Like, I have a coworker, colleague that he's actually from Paraguay, but he lived in the border, so he also speaks Portuguese, and yeah, he speaks very good Portuguese. So we can.
Nice.
It's a way to practice for him, so he also can talk in Portuguese.
Yeah, I do this exchange with some friends too. Like, no, Mike, don't speak English with me. I need to practice my Portuguese. Ah, okay, man. And so you must have a very good listening because it's a mishmash of accents.
Yes, I think this was the hard part in the
Yeah.
beginning. Yeah, I think it's not the hardest because it's like different phases. Like in the beginning, I knew nothing, and I just want to know words and how to write them.
Yeah.
Then I said, "Oh, I know some words, but I don't know how to speak them because I just, as I said, like I use computer or I do exercise on a book and don't practice much of speaking or listening." Then when I got that point, I said, "Okay, I can go in a meeting with people from United States and understand like 80%. But if there's a guy from other country, like I feel bad for that, but people always say, oh, Indian, like Indian
Yeah, they
English.
said in the chat too.
Yeah, Indian English is very different. Like the R's are rolled. I think it's yeah. There are some letters or some sounds that they do that are different. So
like every accent you have this. I watched a Scottish video this in a conversation class with the students, and the guy was British and he couldn't understand a word. It was like a parliament, and they were discussing some access to in the city for people that have some sort of disability. You know, it was all about these how you could move around in a safe way. But the Scottish accent was so strong that the British guy was like, I couldn't understand. Could you please repeat? And then I was like, aha!
Yeah, that's funny.
It's normal.
Yeah, even native speakers have this difficulty.
And they were born in a country which English is the first language. You know?
Yeah,
It's
but
normal.
you use a very specific situation, like they're debating, probably they are speaking fast and
it's like
trying
that.
to like convey their emotion, saying things in different tonalities.
Yeah.
It's different from like watching a movie or watching a class or even a meeting that people try to talk slow. They know that not everyone understands that, or they are from different places, and they try to communicate clearly.
Yeah, it's the frame that we start. For example, if the focus is the communication, you will slow down, you will repeat, you will paraphrase. You know, it makes a lot of sense. There is a question from Leticia, Diego. How can developers stay up to date with the latest industry trends, programming languages, and technologies in a field where much of the information is presented in English? So what would be a good way to be up to date with that?
You can't.
Impossible.
Thing is that You can't know everything every time, all fronts,
Yeah.
all add-ons. Like when I present myself, I said I am a mobile developer. Sometimes I say I'm Android developer, and I had this conversation in a class too. Like, oh, but why just Android? Don't you like to program in iOS? And I was thinking, oh, I like it. Why I don't? And I started thinking about this, and I noticed it's hard to keep up just with one technology or one environment, one ecosystem.
It's a constant changing
Because
thing.
it's changing every day, literally every day. If you follow people that are in this area, like we, there are things happening every day. People are working in this like I'm working this system, and there are people that right now, as we are speaking, are developing new features, and we need to be ready to understand and how to use that in the applications and so on. So yeah, so the first thing is not don't try to do everything. Like you can first try to define a topic that you want to know more or subject. I'm saying that, but I also said that I like to study different things, psychology and science. But but that
I'm like
happens.
that too.
Yeah, but even then, I think I try to look for specific niches inside these areas. So yeah, I think that's the first thing, and then you have to learn at least a little English, and we also have a lot of tools today to if we don't feel comfortable, or if they think that they don't know enough to just read or listen and understand, we can try first to translate, and then we will. I think it's like we are talking. We can learn from this too. You don't have to be ashamed to, like, oh, I don't understand this. I will try to translate. Maybe the translation is not 100% correct, but then we notice that, oh, this word is always showing up, and this means this thing. So yeah.
I see this happening with some full stack developers too. I even joked about it in the last class I had. Just said we were talking about the fear of public speaking, and some people they say, "Oh, I'm full stack," and then the job needs the stack that they are not like an expert yet, you know, or they would be better in back end than front end and something like this, you know. And they say the same thing, like, "Oh my God, I need to keep studying," like, you know, and keep studying and keep studying.
Yeah, once I heard that to call yourself a full stack, you have to master at least one stack. You can't know everything, because full stack. When I first heard this, I said, "Oh, I will never be a full stack because
Impossible.
you have to know everything now. At least you have to know like one of these stacks, and
And then the other would be like a complement. Maybe an ever changing complement, because you always can add more, right?
Yeah, but even these stacks are changing.
Yeah, makes sense. Is there any existing app that you would like to have created? Like, imagine like you saw an app and say, "Oh my God, that's beautiful." And the developer in you look, it's like, I would like to have been the creator of this.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Or something very functional. I don't know, an awesome app that you saw and like, wow.
Yeah, so when you said beautiful, I remember an app that I saw actually today, because I think yesterday or the day before, I was asking some friends about this. Like, oh, I didn't said first that it was for the podcast, but then I sent the link. But I was asking, oh, it's for my graduation project.
My thesis.
Yeah, as a joke, but yeah, I think they got it. And so, what is an app that you would recommend to someone, but it's not very famous, because of course we don't need to say that. And one of them showed me an app that is called, I think it's Wonder. I have it right now, but I can't remember. Wonderos, I think. And I said, okay, it looks nice. I will download to try to use. And I was using today to see. I said, okay, it's not very useful because I think it's more a demo, like to show what the technology can do. And this friend is famous for like advocating this technology, Flutter, and this is one technology I want to study later. Okay. And it's okay. This is one that I wish to understand how they do that because it has very fluid animation and it looks very beautiful and even the navigation they do inside the app, like you don't have these buttons to click and menu. You just scroll. It makes sense and
it's like user friendly.
Yes, it's very user friendly. And I am a person that when I saw Snapchat, it was the time I said to myself, I'm old. I don't understand this.
I feel like that with TikTok, man.
Yeah.
I tried to make an account, it failed miserably.
Yeah, TikTok I like, but for Snapchat, I thought, what is the buttons? It's not.
Where are the buttons?
It's just as I said, I started using the computer with a keyboard. I didn't even had a mouse. The mouse I had to, or my parents bought later. But so I went to buttons. Even when I'm using a device that only has a piece of glass, I want to see something that looks like a button, and it was just gestures. And I thought, oh, I don't understand that. It's for the kid.
The same when I saw somebody playing, I think it was a dancing game on Nintendo Wii. I felt like, where's the joystick? And no, you play like this and that. And I felt like Clint Eastwood instantly. Like, or Danny Glover. I'm too old for that.
Yeah.
Man, okay. What do you consider you don't need to say the name, for ethical reasons, but what do you consider the dumbest app that is out there, or like stupid or not functional? Or
I think I can say
apart from Snapchat.
Because it's an old app. I don't know if it even exists anymore. Probably not, because now we have
better ones.
Better in doing this thing that it does, which is actually nothing. Because when I was thinking about this, it's the first thing that came to my mind is an app called I'm Rich, and it was
Rich.
Yes, it's.
I wouldn't use
that. Me too, because I can do. Because I can afford that. The point of the app was being expensive. I think it was like $500. And you could download it from the App Store, so you have to have an iPhone. Like it was very early, like when iPhone was something new. So the idea is that we have an iPhone, we have paid, I think at that time it was $500, and then we pay $100 or $500 more to download this app, and it just show like a screen say I'm rich, and I think it was a ruby or a diamond, something like
a stamp, like the verified seal.
Yeah, and then it looks like an NFT, doesn't it?
Yeah. So Mauricio said the other time, and it's for money laundering, obviously. It makes total sense, Exactly. Yeah. Social experiment. Exactly.
Yeah, for legal reasons, I'm not implying that.
No. Me neither. But maybe. That was a good one. All right. Shout out to you, Paulo. He said, "Say hello to Kenerd." Okay.
Hello, Kenerd guys.
Fernando is saying something here. Shout out to you, Fernando. What was the most difficult accent you saw in one of your job interviews? Fernando said, for me, was French and Japanese. Did you have any job interview in English that the accent was kind of difficult for you?
I'm trying to remember. You the comment that it makes sense for me. I think it's inside joke, this Kinerd. And we also tried to have the podcast at that time. Kinerd was a blog, and one of the things that we did was talking to John Mad Dog Hall. It's famous in tech area, like for people that follow Linux development and this thing. And he was in this event, and I was afraid to talk to him, but I had a friend with me, and he said, "Oh, let's just go there and ask him to say this phrase, like hello, Canary guys." And we are going to record, and you are going to use in the blog. Crazy. I don't know this person. He's very famous. How can? And yeah, and we did it. So yeah. But yeah, this is just a story. But I forgot what we were.
You can use hello Canary guys.
Yeah.
The what was the accent you
Yeah,
that
the
was difficult
accent.
for you in an interview? Was there any different one?
Yes, I said the English accent, but it was on a job meeting. I don't know if for interviews it was. I don't know. I think it. I think I didn't notice that. Like, I think what was harder for me was speaking, not listening. I think I could understand what they are saying,
Mm-hmm.
and as I said, probably they are not going to ask a person that has a very strong accent or it's very difficult to understand. Like anyone has an accent, but
Yeah.
if it's a person that has an accent that it's harder for people from Brazil, I don't know, probably they are not going to put that or ask that person to do the interview. So I think I never in the interviews I always talk to people that it was easy to understand, and I think I talk with people from Argentina, from Mexico, from
Nice.
India.
Again, your listening must be very good.
Yes, and yeah, sometimes it's hard to understand.
Yeah, no,
But
that's
yeah,
normal.
but
There was a comment in the chat here that was funny. Like Fernando said, "Well, Indian is okay for me," and then he put between parentheses after a lot of tutorials, because
yeah,
it's always like that.
yeah.
I know. And Diego, you have recently been diagnosed with autism. What
Yeah.
could you tell people that are watching to just mystify this? Some people are asking some things about that too in the chat.
Yeah.
The misconceptions and what changed for you.
Yes, the interesting thing is that I was talking about this like 2 days ago because sometimes I post things about autism, but I think I never said, yeah, I think I never feel the need to say, oh, look at me, I'm autist. But it's also important to,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, to show up and say, "Oh, I am a person that's talking English, that has a job, that can do different things, that has sometimes has difficult understanding or communicating, but yeah, I'm a normal person."
Yeah.
And but what I was talking, yes, and I posted something about that, and it's related to what I'm saying. It was a woman that she has when in the so I'm using her words so I don't
Okay.
misrepresent. She said that she has level 2 autism, so she has some more support needs. She uses an app to communicate. So she said she can talk, but she uses this app that she can type and it will read aloud. And when I posted, a friend started talking to me and said, "Oh, I also had a diagnosis. Do you have?" Yeah, and I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Oh, how was it for you? How did you feel? What was different?" And it was hard to me. I was going to say, "No, nothing
It
changed."
makes no practical difference.
Yes, because I was like this, but I think this was not a good answer too. So I said, I think I felt relief. Like it was not something that I'm inventing or I'm making excuses to. It's something that works different for me, and I have to. And I don't have to, but it's easier for me if I understand how my brain works, and if I
Exactly.
adapt to, like when we are talking about technology companies having autism. For me, I think it was easier to work in this area, so it was naturally welcoming. And if I don't know, work in sales or arts, I don't know, maybe it will be difficult or more challenging. It would require more work to be there. So yeah, I think when I received the diagnosis, it makes sense for me. And I think that if there are people that sometimes if, I was going to say that if people suspect that they relate to some symptoms, they can try to look for a diagnosis. But actually it's difficult. It's expensive. It's hard to find people that actually are specialized in that. So yeah, it's not that easy. But if at least we recognize that, for me, for instance, I am very sensitive to touch and to infrared lights, but I'm not even noticing this light anymore. But for sounds, so when I'm working, usually I use a headphone, so I'm not.
It helps you to focus.
Yes, help me to focus. But I don't like to. Some people like to listen to music. Usually I don't. So, or I listen to music just to have an excuse to use the headphone
Nice.
on. Or yes, or like I'm using a comfortable cloth, because if I'm using something that looks fancy or something or beautiful but is making me feel uncomfortable, it will be hard to me to have this conversation.
So have a work setting that is comfortable for you, that you feel comfortable doing whatever you have to do there.
Yeah, and as we are speaking many times, the comfortable can change also. So sometimes I do things that are uncomfortable, but until that they become comfortable. So,
Hence the neuroplasticity.
yeah.
Diego, again, unfortunately, we are running out of time. It was a very nice experience talking to you, man. It felt like we've been chatting for 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
This was
That's
nice.
clear.
Before we wrap this up, say a final message to our listeners.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I already said this. So I think if you want to learn English, I think it's good to learn English for any career you want, but especially for tech. And it's just a matter of starting, even if you make mistakes, and if you find it difficult, with time it gets better. And as I said, it's important to we didn't talk too much about this, about neurodiversity and all these things, but I think it's what is more important, it's understand that people may have are not the same, and they can work in different ways, that sometimes we look suspicious, or oh, this person is quirky or too different. But yeah, I think it's important to accept that and try to be more welcome to this difference.
There will be a spot that it will be an amazing asset to whatever company you work for, right? Nice. Guys, thank you so much for all the messages. I'm sorry if I couldn't read yours. It's because, the conversation was nice, blame me. And don't forget to like the video, share. And next week, we will have another episode. We'll be posting these episodes weekly. And I hope to see you there on our next episode of Talking Times. Bye-bye.
Bye.